wife Annie B. They were pretty much the architects of stock car racing as we know it today, as they were the ones who had the foresight to build this facility back in the late 50s, as we'll see. And on my left over there where you see the sign that says Open Daily, that is the kind of new Motorsports Hall of Fame. Been there about a year and a half now. A group out of Detroit brought in a bunch of classic racing vehicles that we'll see at the end of the tour, including the vehicle that set the last world speed record here in Daytona back in 1935, the Bluebird 5. On my right, you can see the area over there with the glass building. That is the International Motorsports Complex. That's the corporate headquarters of International Speedway Corporation, which owns, of course, not only Daytona, but Talladega, Watkins Glen, Michigan, Kansas, Homestead, Phoenix, Darlington, Martinsville, Chicagoland, Montana, California, some 13 different tracks in all that are all owned by International Speedway Corporation. It's also the home of NASCAR, the organizational arm of stock car racing that was formed here all the way back in 1947 over at the Streamland Motel, and the IMSA Grand Am Series, which is out there today. That is the sanctioning body for the Rolex 24, as well as other sports car races that take place across the United States. On my left over there, you can see the new Daytona Rising. We'll be going up in that a little bit later as we make our way up inside the facility. That is the reinvention of the grandstand, started back here in July of 2013 with the renovation. Some $400 million later, we have what we like to call the first motorsports stadium. As we'll go inside, you'll see it's all enclosed, all the luxury items inside that we'll be able to see when we make our way inside the facility itself and have a better view of the cars on the track here a little later. But as we make our way down and go down to the tunnel here on the other end of the speedway, we're going to tell you a little bit about the facility as well as the history of this racetrack. Here's a guy that knows it pretty well. He's a three-time Daytona 500 champion. He's a four-time Cup champion. And you can hear him now on Fox Television. Here's Jeff Gordon.
Hi, this is three-time Daytona 500 champion Jeff Gordon. I'm pleased to welcome all of you to Daytona International Speedway, the world's first motorsports stadium. Nearly 60 years ago, a small-town auto mechanic named Bill France Sr. dreamed of creating a racetrack that was bigger, faster, and more exciting than any before it. In the ensuing decades, his belief in big dreams transformed Daytona International Speedway into the world's center of racing. Synonymous with names like Petty, Earnhardt, and Allison, Daytona International Speedway has captured the imaginations of the millions who have set foot on these hallowed grounds. Now, Bill France's dream has taken yet another step forward with the reimagination of this American icon, blending the modern amenities that today's sports fans demand with the heritage that race fans expect from Daytona. As 2000s not only conjured memories of Johnny Beauchamp and Lee Petty's three-wide photo finish in the inaugural 1959 Daytona 500, but reminded race fans everywhere that a reimagined race experience hadn't changed the core of what Bill France envisioned decades ago. Welcome to the World Center of Racing.
Well, we started racing here back in the Daytona Beach area all the way back in 1903 as we raised the first of some 80 world speed records that took place on the beach. It was finally in 1935 they left. Now we needed a new facility after going down racing on the beach for a number of decades. We finally got groundbreaking here in November of 1957. Some 16 months later, we were ready for the first running of the Daytona 500 here. It's February 1959. Speedway is located on about 500 acres of property, of which 180 acres are inside the walled areas here. And the track is an unusual configuration, as we'll see when we're in the grandstands. Most tracks are ovals. Ours is a tri-oval. It's 2.5 miles on the outside. It looks more like a D configuration. Back straightaway is totally straight. Front straightaway right here is a big curve, as we'll see. And the reason for that's rather simple. Where we're going through right now is the old Daytona Beach Kennel Club property. They raced greyhound racing there for a number of decades on the facility. In and out on race day, but we've got 14-foot clearance up above us, thanks to those 91 concrete archways above us. We're about 35 feet directly up the track right now, and it goes about 500 feet. It gives us room for haulers and RVs on days like today when there's racing action, which is about 200 days a year. And as we exit, we're going to be right in between the road course and the Super Speedway as we exit. You'll see Daytona's really made up of two racetracks. On my left over here, you're seeing the road course. It was used for everything other than stock car events. All our sports cars, motorcycles, and World Karting Association events take place on the combination of that 1 mile course that joins behind us here, as we'll see, to the 2.5 mile to become a 3.56 mile road course. And on my right over here, turns 1 and 2 of the super speedway, the 2.5 mile facility, where all the NASCAR events take place. They're going through that as they come off the road course, about 3,000 feet from the entry of turn 1 to the exit of turn 2. So they spend a little more than a half a mile up on that 31 degrees of banking, which is about a third of the way to perpendicular. But occasionally they may get together and end up at the upper wall up there. Fortunate for them, that's what we call the safer barrier. SAFER stands for Steel and Foam Energy Reduction, with the safety system installed here in 2004. The inner wall closest to us there is actually hollow steel tubing. It's about 4 feet or so high. It gets in the first wall, it'll tend to flex and give to take away some energy. Then the foam compresses to take away all the water, and finally into the hard concrete wall. A safer barrier was designed by engineers at the University of Nebraska. It's now required, of course, in every racetrack that does have a NASCAR sanction event. Used to be just in the corners and the inner walls of the straightaway, but now it's all throughout the racetrack. On my left over there, if you look, you can see where they enter and exit the road course. Directly to our left over there by the road course, you can see them coming in on the right-hand side. And in just a minute, you'll see them going out to the left-hand side of those tire barriers as they make their way out. As they come in on the other side, they're going to go straight in front of us to where we'll see back out onto the 2.5 mile portion of the road course. But it was previously where the old superstretch or backstretch grandstands were located. Starting back in 1994 with about 4,000 people. Through the years we added on, we had some 46,000 seats back there, as well as suites before we finished the Daytona 500 here in February 2015. Then, of course, after that race, all those were taken out and sent to other facilities across the United States. So now all of our seating exists to my left, where we'll be a little later up at the Daytona Rising. That went a little more than 0.8 of a mile before we started construction here in 2013. We shortened up each end a little bit to make it a little less than 0.8 of a mile, but we went much taller. The third level there is basically all new. It's 15 stories high to the very top now. All of those seats are 4 inches wider than the previous seating. And I really only have effect for that for one race, and that is the Daytona 500. On my left over here, you can see the east end of the road course, as we said, the International Horseshoe, or the Pedro Rodriguez turn, but it's the slowest portion of the racetrack. They make a big U-turn here. We're going to pull over here and come to a stop. When we do, we're going to exit here to my left. We're going to walk over here through the fan zone. We're going to go ahead and get our pictures first, then we'll come back through the fan zone, spend a little time through there before riding back through the infield, eventually to the grandstand. So when we come to a stop, just exit here to my left. We'll walk over here across the street where the sign says fan zone and make our way down to Victory Lane, get your pictures.
I'm so young. This is like one chick with kids like her lane. It's so cool.
Pretty cool to see those cars. That's what's neat is that's all cars that you like to look at and get to see them race. Hey, you know what's neat, Taylor? Too bad they're going to be racing all those cars on the weekend.